And it is 91.9 WFPK. I am Kyle Meredith, and as promised, for the last 2 hours and so, Bonnie Bishop is back in Louisville. Welcome.
Hey, I'm so glad to be back here.
Yeah, opening up WFPK's Waterfront Wednesday tonight.
And closing it down, apparently, right? Last show of the season?
No, we've got one more. Don't be spreading rumors.
Dang,
I'm sorry.
My bad.
No, you'll upset Nada Surf, who's playing next month.
That's great.
Ford Thurston.
What's up, buddy?
The guitarist you've brought along. I want to introduce him as well. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to introduce Ford from time to time. He's a big part of our show, big part of what makes the live show sound so great.
I'm sure. Is he on the record too? Are you on the record?
I did not.
He's not on the record, but he wrote Too Late with me, which I understand you guys
just
are
played last
spinning.
hour,
All
too.
right.
Yeah.
So you're going to get your big old check
Get
in the
my
mail
check.
coming from community radio, baby.
You're welcome.
I just cashed my first one.
Y'all have
Yeah.
one of the most loyal groups of listeners in the South, because I get fan mail randomly on my Facebook page from people who listen to WFPK
That's awesome.
all the time.
That's
yeah,
awesome. I
yeah.
mean, we tell them to. We're like,
Listen,
we
listen to the radio.
we send it out in the membership. Like, hey, every time we play Bonnie, make sure you hit her up. And,
That's good.
it makes
It's
us
working.
feel bigger, I guess. It's something like that.
It's working.
I want to, before we play a song here, I want to congratulate you on this record, Ain't Who I Was, because what a fantastic record. And we've always been fans, but it seems like there's some things happening with this one. Like, it's catching on.
Yeah, well, I think that, I have to give a lot of credit to the team that I have around me, because I've been on the road for a long, long time.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of was trying to do it all by myself, the Texas way.
Mm-hmm.
And, after about 5 records of that and touring in my van and living out of that van, I kind of got to this impasse and thought, I've been doing this for 12 years and it's not getting any easier. I must be doing something wrong. Maybe I've missed my chance. And so, I went through this 1.5 year period of trying not to be a musician, not writing songs, not playing gigs, trying to just let it go. And, something really beautiful happened in my life and in my soul through that period of surrender. And when I got a call to go back into the studio to make this record, I was able to show up and just kind of be in the moment and not have to control it, not have to worry about where it was going, but just, had the faith that if that opportunity had come back to me, then it was something I was meant to do.
Yeah.
And so I'm just trying to stay in that moment, which we've been touring a lot and, all these amazing things have happened, these amazing reviews on the record and things that I worked for, my whole life and kind of sacrificed in order to get to this point. So it's interesting now to be receiving or reaping, I guess, all the benefits of the hard work at a moment where I was already okay with it not happening anymore.
Right. Which is kind of really interesting for a songwriter to kind of surrender.
Yeah.
And I say that in the good way, I guess, to kind of give in to that. And I want to mention, like, you and I met once a few years ago at South by Southwest, and it seemed like this big breakthrough moment in itself right there, because you had just learned that Bonnie Raitt was going to pick up one of your songs,
right.
ended up being, not because I wanted to,
That's right.
ended up being a great song on her Slipstream record, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And she won a Grammy.
Right.
Yep.
And like that in itself feels like that's something
Yeah.
that would change everything, but that's not always how it works. I mean, that's...
Yeah, I think there's this myth, there definitely was for me, that, success was something that would be quantified by dollar signs or maybe stability. But I'm learning that, success is meeting these milestones, like having people like Bonnie Raitt record your songs and just, continuing to create and to make music for the love of it after, all these years, not quitting kind of seems like, or not giving up, I guess, kind of seems like the success. But, something beautiful like that, my musical hero recording one of my songs, it was a life changer for me, I think, mentally, because it's kind of one of those stamps of approval that nobody can ever take away from you. If nobody else ever cuts one of my songs, it's like, well, Bonnie Raitt did. So there's no disputing.
And she's done it twice now.
She's done it twice now, yeah.
All right.
So, but yeah, things don't always translate into dollar signs, and especially in the current age of music business, people don't don't make a lot of money. And you guys know, you work in the music business, you raise all
We're
your
in
own money.
public radio, yeah.
You're an indie artist, baby. It's the same story. So we all have to kind of fight and scrape to make our dreams come true. And, and I think I can appreciate now what my job is, whereas maybe those 12 years on the road, I had gotten really burned out, and I was, disappointed that it wasn't a fairy tale.
Right.
And perhaps in the letting go, I accepted, what it was, and I can see the beauty that it is now. And that's a big part of, why I have the grace to get up and perform and then drive 8 hours to the next gig and perform and drive 5 hours so that, So,
well, I'm so glad it's happened, however it had to happen, because it has resulted in a great record. And again, Ain't Who I Was is out now. I'm talking here with Bonnie Bishop, and guitarist Ford Thurston over here is looking antsy. So I think we're going to talk a lot more here in a second, because I got some more questions about this record. But let's get a song from you guys. Again, Bonnie's going to be playing tonight at WFPK's Waterfront Wednesday. The details at WFPK.org. What do we got?
Let me see what comes out of Ford's guitar. We're going to do the title track. Well, it's true, all you've heard. I'm living like a gypsy. Oh, I can't be cured of this homesick blues that I've come down with. When I stay out late every night in a different state, getting high as a kite until I've come down, I don't realize that I'm just flying. When I suppose I can dig myself a hole. Baby, I've been told time and again. Well, the rumors are true, but I ain't who I was back then. 'Cause these days I'm good and I'm grown, and I'm wrong most of the time. So forgive or forget me if my reasons don't rhyme, but don't take it so hard. Hell, it's just part of living a dream. Oh, when you pick and you sing, but I'm finally proud of who I am now, 'cause it ain't who I was. Yeehaw. Oh, and I suppose I can dig myself a hole. Baby, I've been told time and again. Well, the rumors are true, y'all, but I ain't who I was back then. 'Cause these days I'm good and I'm grown, and I'm alone most of the time. So forgive or forget me if my reasons don't rhyme, but don't take it so hard. Hell, it's just part of living the dream. I pick and I sing, but I'm finally proud of who I am now, 'cause it ain't who I was. Lord, I'm finally proud of who I am now. Thank God it ain't who I was.
Bonnie Bishop, Ford Thurston on guitar here on 91.9 WFPK. Great version of the title track to that new record.
Thank you.
Playing tonight at WFPK's Waterfront Wednesday. Kind of curious, so we've heard the story, and I know you've told that story a lot of how this record came to be, although I feel like we had to get there. I kind of curious about the lyrical side of the whole thing, because the last record was a bit of a reinvention for yourself. If I remember right, there was like a divorce and everything else that went along with that. And it's almost seems like,
I'm in a perpetual state of reinvention.
That's exactly what I was getting to.
Well, I really think that's kind of what living is. Mm-hmm. As a songwriter, I spend a lot of time examining myself and things that are happening and asking, why are they happening? What am I supposed to be learning? Especially when I find myself in the midst of uncomfortable situations or difficult situations. I tend to go inside and try and figure out, like, what role am I playing in this, and what do I need to be learning so I don't have to feel this way anymore, So, to say that my personal life has inspired my songwriting would be an understatement.
Right.
I feel like I'm kind of meta writing, if you're familiar with that term. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like creating the story as you go. So, I think the story of my last record was absolutely like coming out of a divorce and a reckoning with myself. Like, how did I end up getting here? Mm-hmm. And it was really more of like a personal story and about, learning about myself as a person. And then I think this album was inspired by the meltdown of a career, or a meltdown of maybe who I thought I was. And I do continuously try to peel off the layers because, like I said, my music and my writing are all a reflection of real life events for me, and I think that's kind of what I'm called to do, is to connect on a human level and help other people go through that process, which is kind of a scary process, because you find out as you peel one layer off, there's a whole bunch more. You ain't done. You way more screwed up than you thought you were.
Well, I mean, I think that's why we've always loved your song so much, is because we can see how screwed up you are. No, that's not what I was going to say.
Hey, I will keep everybody entertained as long as I'm on Earth, I feel certain.
No, with this kind of music and everything, and, it's easy, especially with co-writing, you're giving up a piece of yourself, it seems like, when you're co-writing, and that can happen. I find sometimes that the song maybe loses that personal touch when it just becomes something else, and that hasn't happened with you. I mean, you're talking about, you've got a great song with 40 here on Two Lays, and especially on tracks like Ain't Who I Was, and, I don't know how you're able to kind of keep that from, and I guess it's just, how do you do the writing? How do you do the writing with someone else when you're using such personal things about yourself?
Well, there's definitely a level of trust, I think, that has to be established with people. And, the more trust I establish with the person, the deeper I can go in the songwriting process with them. And I also think that sometimes, like people that I've written with that I never met them until that day, like Al Anderson. Mm-hmm. And we wrote that song for Bonnie at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday under fluorescent lights in an office on Music Row, and we'd never laid eyes on each other.
The most romantic way to write music.
I know it, right? Under fluorescent lights. That's how I want to make love. But yeah, it's just funny. I think that songwriters and artists can connect on a deep level, because I think most artists are living in that space, or people that are seeking like emotional truth are kind of living in that constant state of examination. And yeah, it does definitely take the right partner to, make that kind of music with and be vulnerable with. Jimmy Wallace, who's one of my favorite co-writers, we wrote 4 songs on this record, 5 songs on the last record together.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just, it's just a thing. That's kind of the magic of co-writing. And that's how it was with my friend Tim Krekel, who a lot of people here in Louisville know.
Mm-hmm.
Tim's an angel now, God rest his soul. But we wrote together in Nashville. We met for the first time, I think, in 2004. Started writing together and wrote together for years. We wouldn't see each other sometimes for a year or two in between. And then we'd get together, and it was like we both had been through similar experiences because we were both trying to make a living making music and trying to carve out a life on top of that, or, in the midst of that. And we were both kind of seeking to feel something in the music and to express something real. And maybe it's, having a common agenda, when two people both want to dig deep and say something and just be in the moment and find the song, which sometimes I think these songs are already written and we're just kind of reaching up into the ether, But yeah, it's co-writing is a magical thing, and I'm kind of at this point now where I don't want to write songs without a co-writer.
Yeah,
because I'm in my head so much all day now that I'm writing these stories, and I wrote a screenplay in the last year, and I've kind of been fleshing out a lot of stories where I would normally be writing songs, and so I'm just now starting to co-write for the next record for this follow-up, basically. So
now that you're back on the horse,
now
you're
that
writing.
Now that everybody likes this record, I guess I'll make another one.
Well, that's about the most exciting news I've heard today. That's great. What's is there news behind the screenplay? I know you've kind of written about that a little bit online.
No, not yet. I did. I'm really hoping to get this grant. I submitted for a grant. I actually took a full-length screenplay and reduced it to a short film in order to submit for a female screenplay writer's grant for up-and-coming screenplay writers. So if I get that, I'll have a chance to actually make a short film.
Awesome.
And then I have this kind of vision of incorporating that with live shows and stuff like that. So I got some tricks up my sleeve. I got some plans, y'all.
All right.
Some plans.
Well, I look forward to all of them coming to fruition.
Thanks.
So, Bonnie Bishop here on 91.9 WFPK. She's going to be playing tonight at WFPK's Waterfront Wednesday. Again, the details at WFPK.org. And I think we can talk them into another song.
Yeah, let's play Mercy. Cool. It's so good.
All right.
This is an old Ann Sexton tune that my producer, Dave Cobb, who some of you probably have heard of by now, Dave talked me into recording this song. And, as a songwriter, sometimes there's this pride thing, like, I don't need somebody else to write my songs for me. But we were missing a cool groove on this record. So we sat up one night, listened to a stack of burned CDs that Paul Kennerly had dropped off for Dave Cobb. And I'm talking there were 25, maybe 30 songs on each of these discs. And we had a stack of 20 of them in front of us. And we sat up one night drinking tequila, listening to a verse and a chorus of every one of those songs. And this is the only one we picked. Never thought I'd live to see the day when I'll be running after a man this way. Baby, you don't know the effect you have on me. Boy, you got my mind twisted up and I can't will free. Have a little mercy on me, baby. Show a little mercy. And please, little baby, I'm just a little bit. Whenever you are out of my sight, all I do is pace the floor. And my nerves will never settle till you walk through my door. Late at night when I'm laying in bed, I just toss and turn, y'all. And if you don't lighten up on me, my life awful be rude. Have a little mercy on me, baby. Show a little mercy. Please, little baby, and I'm just a little bit. Have a little mercy on me, baby. Show a little mercy. And please, little baby, I'm just a little bit. Now you got me falling on my knees and needing out of your hand. Babe, I'm right here to fulfill your desires and all your commands. So what more could you ask for? Hell, you got a fool like me. I guess I'm getting what I deserve. You know I'm where I wanna be. Have a little mercy on me, baby. Show a little mercy. Please, little baby, oh, just a little bit. Have a little mercy on me, baby. Show a little mercy. Please, little baby, oh, 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 babe. Oh, but have a little mercy, mercy. Little baby. Whoa, whoa, yeah. Oh, have a little mercy.
All right. Bonnie Bishop, Fort Thurston here on 91.9 WFPK. Pretty good guitar playing there, too.
Not bad, man. Not bad.
You know.
Hey,
Not
by the way,
bad.
and credit where that's due. We talked about the song Too Late a few times. The groove on that thing. That riff gets stuck in my head. And if you could get the royalties off of that riff, you'd be off of
Can I
that
just say
the
that
mental.
when I hear the riff, I hear dun 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 dun. You know what I say? Inside the NFL.
Yeah, that's what we're going for. So if anybody out there works
He's
for the
going long.
NFL, this song is not published and it's completely available for licensing.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you know, my stepdad was a football coach. I grew up on the sidelines at Mississippi State.
Okay.
So I worked I worked in college football, like that was my whole life growing up. So that is not something that has not already crossed our minds. Like, let's get this and be a great like football soundtrack.
Go for it.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, and then
At this point,
then
it's
retire.
like anything could
HBO
happen.
needs to bring that show back.
Yeah,
That's
it
right.
totally sounds like a Sopranos series type.
Number 72.
All right, thank you
That was
guys
fun.
so much for
Thanks,
for
Kyle.
dropping by here. We're going to see you tonight
I
in the Big
can't
Four.
wait for tonight. I've wanted to play the series for years and years. So
Yeah.
I heard there's going to be a great crowd. It's going to be a beautiful night under the stars by the river in Louisville. I can't wait to be a part
We
of
get
it.
the best sunsets right behind the stage too. It's going to be great.
I can't wait. I have a
It's not
feeling.
going to rain, is it?
No,
I mean,
it's
you
out.
have the news over there, right?
I have the news.
Okay.
In this morning, there was a chance,
Not
you
anymore.
know, but it moved out and it's gone. So,
Yeah, so you're telling me there's not a chance.
I can't say that because
Kyle.
it's Earth, you know. It's like, but
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. Every day in the summertime, regardless of the weather, there's always a 15% chance, right? Because it's summer.
All right.
It's down to the 15, so,
Yeah.
which is like, you're fine.
Well, the good news is I know for a fact there are angels afoot in Louisville tonight that are going to make sure it doesn't rain.
I'll attest to that.
All right.
Nice.
Thank you guys so much for dropping by.
Thank you.